guys, welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be ranking 14 of the most recent eyeshadow palettes I've been testing, from the worst to the absolute best of the best. These palettes are from Q4. So I've tried them in October, November, and December. But I also last month did a palette rankings of the palettes that I had tried recently from Sephora. It just fit the theme of the time because that's when the Sephora savings event was going on. So these are like the ones that weren't at Sephora. Some are at Sephora because I tried them after that video was filmed. But anyways, palettes from the last 3 months that I haven't yet ranked. Let's get into them. Starting off at number 14, the worst palette that I've tried in the last couple of months is from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the Luminous Legends eyeshadow palette Starfall Seduction. These weren't sold at Sephora, so that's why the big palette was in that rankings and the small ones are not. Now I will say, just for reference, in terms of the Pat McGrath holiday collection, the big palette is better than this palette. And the way that I feel is just this formula has fallen off. I felt like the first round was so good and these now just aren't as good. The shimmers don't adhere as well to the eyelids. I find that the color fades over time. They just don't wear very well, which is unfortunate because this color story is really pretty. I did love the looks that I was able to get with this, but just for it being Pat McGrath, between the packaging, it being cardboard with just paper over it, and the quality not being there completely, it's a huge disappointment for me. It really is. It's just not a good palette, so that's why this is at number 14. Number 13, this is ranking above 14 because this is prettier on the eyelid, but that's all that it has going for it. It's the Luminous Legends Eyeshadow Duo in Celestial Jade. I mean, I don't really know if this counts as a palette, but essentially you put the green on the outer part of the eye, the gold on the inner part, and it's gorgeous, but it fades so quickly, you guys. The wear on this is not good. To get the best wear, of course, use a glitter glue. But again, it's Pat McGrath, who has some of the best quality eyeshadows in the industry. So I just don't know what's going on with this formula. It's not very good. Moving in at number 12, this is where things are like good now. 14 and 13 were the ones where I was like about, but we're at the positive front now. And this is not even bad. Honestly, I just wasn't keen on reaching for it. This is the Makeup Forever Artist to Go Wherever Walnut palette. It's really pretty, very cool toned, but for me, I just didn't really want to reach for it. I thought it was kind of boring, kind of bland. When you see some of the other palettes that I'm talking about today, you'll be like, oh, I get it. Like, meh. It's meh. The quality is fine. It's not top notch, but it's way better than the Pat McGrath. When it comes to these rankings, I take into consideration the quality, the color story, if I like it or not. It's personal rankings after all. And then did I actually use it? And the answer is not really. I didn't really want to. When I did use it, it was kind of against my will because I have to use it in order to review it. Average quality. I don't know, back in the day I felt like Makeup Forever used to be known for their eyeshadows and they're really not anymore. And these are fine. They are fine. I just didn't really want to reach for it. I had a lot more exciting items. Number 12, this one will surprise you because Odin's Eye never ranks low, but the color story played a huge role in this one. I just didn't really like it that much. I think if I had reviewed this in the springtime, it would have gotten a lot more use out of me, but the quality is not bad. It's great quality, so I want to start there, but it's just not been with the times of the looks that I've been doing, so I haven't reached for it very often. There's not a lot of depth in this palette. It's all very pastel-y, which I don't mind in the springtime, but in the wintertime, it's just not what I'm looking for. And I thought it was a strange color story for it being a holiday palette. However, there actually were a lot of you who said that you really liked this for the holidays, especially depending on what region you live in. So I won't knock it for that, but again, the test of time, just like the Makeup Forever, have I been using it? Not really. I haven't really wanted to. There hasn't been really occasions where I felt like this looked good with my winter outfits or the vibes of what I wanted for the day, so that's why it's ranking at number 12, but it's still very good. I mean 11. Anyway, still very good. Okay, number 10, actually the palette that I'm wearing today, so you know it's going to be neutral. This is the Lawless The Dreamy Dozen Volume 2. Now the look is pretty. This would have ranked a lot higher, but I don't think the quality on this is amazing. I would say, you know, the Odin's Eye and Makeup Forever is probably better quality than this. This is very light. If you like lighter makeup, you don't like too much pigment, you'll probably enjoy this, but it's just not my cup of tea for the formulas that I prefer. I find that particularly the mattes require a lot of building up to get it to the depth level that I'm looking for. It is, like I said, the palette that I used today, but I just felt like, you know, you can hardly tell I put the black. I really tried to blend this dark brown in the inner and outer corner to get some depth, and it just wasn't giving it to me. The shimmers are pretty, they're smooth, they adhere to the lid, but it's the mattes that are giving me a little bit of trouble. So for today's look, I use this light shade just under my brow to highlight that area, brighten everything up. And I use this peachy shade all over my crease, really soft, really beautiful. I use this shade right here in the inner and outer corner. Man, I blended this up, layered it up so many times, and I just felt like I wasn't getting on my eyelids what the pan was giving. So of course I moved over to this darkest brown right here, and again, like, it did deepen it, but it just wasn't giving what I was looking for. I really wondered, you know, if you have a deeper complexion, this probably is not going to be your cup of tea as well. If I feel like on me it's not giving me enough depth, you know. And then I did use this black to line my lash line, and you see just how sheer it is. You can barely tell. So it's not like a bad palette. I still get a look with it, and it's pretty colors, but it takes a lot of building up, which just, I'm not here for. It's not the kind of formula that I like. Not for me. If you're somebody who's heavy-handed, feels like eyeshadow tends to look a little heavy on you, then maybe this might be something that you're into, but for me, yeah. Okay, we're getting really good from this point forward. Number 9 is from Buxom. I'd heard so much from you guys actually about how good the formula was. This is the Forever Babe Iconic Nudes palette. What a gorgeous nude palette. The mattes in here definitely build up a lot more than the Lawless. Now this is more of a monochromatic style palette, so there's not too much varying depths. A lot of the shades are very close to each other, but I don't know, for me, it works in this palette. I think the shimmers in here, they look like a formula that might have trouble adhering to the eyelid, but these even apply with a brush. You don't have to go in with a finger. The looks you get are really simple. I enjoy this palette. I really don't have any notes. It's just a matter of if this is a color story for you. It's a very fine, lightweight formula, which normally not my cup of tea, but the performance here is really nice. Really beautiful colors, right up my alley for an everyday palette. I really wish I ranked it higher, but the other palettes moving forward are also just so good. But I definitely recommend this if the color story speaks to you, for sure. Number 8 is the Nomad Polar Express palette. I've been enjoying the quality of Nomad a lot lately. I just feel like they give you so much pigment. What a beautiful color story for the winter. Now, in my initial review video, I used the blues to get out of my comfort zone, and what a phenomenal blue formulation. Blues can be so difficult to work with, but I found these all really nice. Then we also have some neutral tones here and some warm tones. I just think it's the perfect color combination if you want those true winter tones. Now, for me, this palette, other than what I did in my tutorial, is not really going to get any use from me. But the other shades, I love that you have the option to get those neutral looks as well. So I think this is a great palette, great quality. A lot of great thought went into the color story and every detail of this palette. If you're looking for an on-theme winter palette, definitely recommend this. My mouth is so dry. Number 7 is this little guy that I picked up during the Sephora savings event. This is the Moon Dust eyeshadow quad from Urban Decay. I thought this was such a good deal for someone like me who had never tried the glitter formulation, the Moon Dust formulation from Urban Decay, and it's very, very pretty. Now, this one has a collection, I would say, of a couple different textures here. For example, this one does not have as much glitters as, say, this one. I'll just pop this on for a little extra pizzazz. I mean, this formula is perfect for that extra little pizzazz. I will say, I don't know, I have some glitter eyeshadows that I like better. I don't think these are the best glitter formulation in the world, but they're easily accessible to you guys. They don't have any fallout. They add that little bit of glimmer, shimmer, shimmery sparkle here at the end of your makeup look. I can see why a lot of people love it. I think individually these are quite pricey, but with a quad like this, if you ask me, is when it becomes worth it. So I've enjoyed this. This has been nice for just a little plop at the end just to elevate the look. Number 6 is from YSL. You know, for the last year, I love these palettes so much. So this is the Couture Mini Clutch in 700. This one has fallen behind from the others simply because of the color story. And no notes on the color story. I think it's fun. I think it's beautiful. I think it's like great for New Year's and winter. I just don't do gray looks too often. I mean, when I've worn this, I've gotten compliments, but it's not what I'm reaching for without thinking. I have to like mentally prepare and prep for a gray eye look, but it's that great YSL formulation, and the look is gorgeous. It's just not within my comfort zone all the time. Color story is the reason why it's kind of fallen, but quality is definitely pushing it up. Number 5 is the other part of the Oden's Eye Holiday Collection, the Silvery Bliss palette. I really think this color story is so fun for the holidays. Now, there's a lot of red. You're not going to catch me using too many red shades in here, but if you take those out, you still have a lot of neutral tones. It's actually on the more wearable side of the Oden's Eye palette, because you guys know they are not afraid to go there with color. The shimmers here are really beautiful. I love Oden's Eye mattes. They're so pigmented, but very, very easy to blend. This has been a fun one for the holiday season for sure. It's not my favorite Oden's Eye holiday palette of all time, but the quality is great. The colors are really great. This palette has a lot more versatility than you think in the looks that you can create with it. All the time, Oden's Eye palettes are pushing towards the top for me because I just think that they're phenomenal. And this one is no exception. It's really, really lovely. But these next 4, let me tell you, they are like year-round favorites for me. I feel like this is a seasonal favorite of mine. These next 4 are getting used and abused by me. So number 4, such a surprise, but I have to say it's probably the second most used palette in this entire lineup, and I cannot let that pass by. So it has to be towards the top if I'm using it so often. That says a lot. It is this dang Urban Decay Naked palette. I just think the tones in here are so perfect for every day. Naked is like my favorite crease color. This has been sitting in my makeup drawer beside me where I keep all of the new palettes that I'm testing every single day, and I reach for this so much because I love the tone of Naked. You have this light satin shade to go under the brow. Buck is also very good. It's been great for background to single eyeshadows. So I've been using a lot of single eyeshadows and eyeshadow sticks throughout the year, and I always need like a crease color to just have as a background, and I'm always reaching for these, but the lid colors here are also very beautiful, very nostalgic for me. It's not the perfect palette though. I still think it needs updated. I still think Gunmetal's gotta go. We've gotta get more matte colors in here. We've gotta transition, like hustle to a matte shade. There's some things that can be updated for more modern style makeup, but the tones in here are so good. I'm reaching for this all the time. I did. I at one point years ago, I said this palette is outdated. They need to get rid of it. They need to stop riding on this naked horse. Well, they were overdoing it, okay, with the naked lines. But then they relaunched this year, and I've been using it. So the proof is in the pudding. Number 1, 2, and 3, I'm gonna be honest. I talked about them in yesterday's video. They're just so good. They are just so good. I have loved having them in my eyeshadow palette drawer beside me. Number 3, we have the other YSL Couture Mini Clutch that I picked up. This is the shade 710, and it's like a warmer, peachier version of my favorite 100. That's the number of the YSL quads that I love. So it's warmer, it's peachier, but it's still not too warm. I wear warm shadows, but I prefer more of like a true neutral brown eyeshadow. And it's that great YSL formula. Some people do find this shimmer to be a little bit like piecey. I do agree with that, but I don't mind it. I like it. It's not falling all over my face personally. These shadows just blend themselves out. They're just phenomenal quality. So yeah, I just love this color story. I've talked about this style of eyeshadow palette so much. Been reaching for this color a lot. Number 2, the newest member to the Viseart family is the Cyrenisse Eton Dew palette. It's just beautiful, you guys. I love it even more than I thought I would when I first opened it up. First of all, 10 out of 10 quality. We don't have a single dud in here. It's that phenomenal Viseart quality. And this is a neutral palette, but it's just a little bit elevated, a little bit different. And it's difficult to tell that by just looking at it, but when you apply it to the eyelid, you see the special features and the uniqueness that these shadows have. It's a neutral palette that's not completely basic. It has a little bit of an elevation to it, a little bit of a cool vibe to it, right? It's a little bit sultry. It's neutral, but a little different. Same as all of the other neutral palettes out there, but just a little bit different, if you know what I mean. And then put that like really genius, thought out color story with the Viseart formula. And what do you have? One of my favorite neutral palettes of 2024. And then finally, number 1. It's like I almost feel guilty putting this at number 1 because this is like, this palette has already been in my collection for years, so I cheated because they recently, it's this one. Let me show you from Viseart. This is the Neutral Mattes palette, which has been around for years. I've had it for years. I've loved it for years. I've recommended it for years. It's had a lot of screen time here on my channel. But they redid the packaging for the 25-year anniversary, and instead of putting this in my general population palette collection, I was like, well, it's new, so I popped it in my eyeshadow drawer beside me for my rankings. So does it belong here? No. Do I care? No, because I've been loving having this right beside me. It has every matte shade in the whole wide world that I need in terms of neutrals. You know, we have more cool tone neutrals, warm tone neutrals, neutral neutrals, and then everything is in a gradient effect. It's super pigmented, but very easy to use because it's the Viseart formulation, professional grade formulation, the essential of all essential palettes. It's not exciting to look at, but you always need these colors, and I'm always reaching for these, and my love, once again, risen. Seriously, when this re-entered my collection, and I'm just like, I've talked about this for years for a reason. It's essential, must have. I need it in my collection. And even though I love all of these other palettes, right? If I don't have this, it's difficult. That's a lie. I was gonna say it's difficult to function. Totally a lie, but I always come back to this. It's just so good. Top of the line quality essential shades, and I've really leaned in to my boringness this year when it came to eyeshadow, just due to the lack of trending eyeshadows. So I've been able to do looks that I'm really comfortable with, and that just make me happy and feel beautiful. And that palette, that boring palette, it's the best. So anyways, those are my rankings of the 14 most recent eyeshadow palettes that I've been messing around with the last of Q4 here. I do have an ultimate palette rankings coming very soon. It'll be interesting to see how things kind of piece together in the end, because rankings are so subjective even to the day. When you lay them all out together on this particular day, it's funny where sometimes some of these palettes end up in the ranking. I have to get on that. That's going to be a lot of work, but I hope you guys enjoyed this rankings and found it helpful if you are on the hunt for a new eyeshadow palette. What do you think 2025 is? That was hard to say aloud, but anyways, what do you think palette scene is gonna look like for 2025. Do you think we're gonna have a resurgence? I don't think, not quite yet. I think it'll be another quiet year for eyeshadow palettes, but I'm okay with that, honestly, because it's been really fun this year to truly be able to dive in to these eyeshadow palettes and give them a lot of use. You know, I always make an effort no matter what. I have nothing but time in my day to test makeup and eyeshadow palettes, so I've always made the extra effort, but it was definitely made easier for me this year to use all of these and really get a feel for them. Oh my gosh, it is raining so much all day. The roof is right on top of me and I just hear the rain coming down. I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe to my channel because I am posting almost every day for the month of December. So I should hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Never making a promise of it, I'm gonna tell you, but I'm very good about it. So I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Tomorrow, potentially, most likely.
It's delicious.